welcome to another episode of Stuck in My Podcast. I'm your host, Wize. And today's guest is someone who doesn't just talk about mindfulness, she lives it. She's the host of the Mitzi, Let's Think About It, a podcast diving into mental health, emotional intelligence, spirituality, and conscious living. She's a self-published author of 4 children's books, a powerful advocate for holistic well-being, and a mom raising the next generation with intention. Let's welcome Mitzi Ocasio to the Stuck in My Mind podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here. It's such a pleasure.
Oh, the pleasure's all mine because I've had the honor of being a guest on your show. So I'm excited for when you release that. But we have a mutual friend, Angela Lewis, who connected us and thought that we would create some great content together. And when I was on your show, I had a great time. It was a great interview. It was a blast. We connected on so many levels because our stories are so similar in everything that we're doing.
Yeah.
And so it was just a wonderful conversation. So I'm excited to have you on. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It really was a great conversation. And just looking into your podcast and just the name, the title, it relates so much with my mission of just getting out of your mind and just exploring other people's thoughts and just having that open mind because we never know what we are thinking can get us stuck. So the fact that this is your title, I'm on it, I'm for it, I support it 100%.
Awesome. So Missy, what's the moment that started your journey into mental wellness and conscious living?
Ooh, what was the moment? I think when somebody told me that I could be crazy, but like in a legit way, not like, "Oh, Mitzi, you're crazy." Just like, you know what I mean? It was just like, "Mitzi, I really think the way
Because
that you process the world is so different that I think you could be a little bit crazy." And I was just like, I cannot be crazy. You know what I mean? Like I know to an extent, maybe, to a degree, maybe, but like I'm not crazy crazy. You know what I mean? So I was just like, let me share my thoughts about all of the things that happens in the world. Let me see if there's other people out there that relate with me or maybe see life differently and let me learn from them. You know what I mean? So I was like, allow me to reposition myself and my mind and the way that I perceive the world as a student so that I'm always learning, I'm always evolving, I'm always adjusting, I'm always pivoting and shifting because I know that I can get stuck. You know what I mean? We can get stuck in a rut in our frame of mind and our frame of thinking that it can become an illusion. You know what I mean? And we can feed into those illusions and these mirages that we create. And I realized, like, you know what? I am not crazy. You're crazy for thinking I'm crazy, but I'm actually really flippin' sane. So, I started this journey with my podcasting, my blogs, my books, and I realized that I am not crazy and I am just an individual that's just trying to allow other individuals that may feel crazy from the society and let them know that we are united, we are relatable, we are seen, we are heard, we are valued.
and that's something we share in common where we're building platforms to help support others. We want to help develop and grow others. Like you do your podcast and you have some wonderful guests on. I've seen some of your shows and you give people an opportunity to share their stories and an opportunity to share their voice. And and I love that about your podcast. And I love the fact that you're doing everything with the children's book and all and all everything you stand for. So I commend you for doing what you're doing because I know it's not hard, it's not easy. Being someone who's doing a lot of the same things that you're doing, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to build the podcast that we're doing. You're self-published in a way, so it's not easy self-publishing your books and doing that. So you're doing some amazing things, and I know you do it because you want to set the example for your kids and for your sons, and show them, hey, listen, the world is yours if you just go out there and you just reach for whatever you want to, because it gives us doing this here gives me an opportunity to show anyone from where we're from that, hey, look, I launched the podcast not knowing what I was doing, just off the premise that I needed it. This is something I felt in like I needed to really create this project, I've dedicated a lot of time and I've invested a lot in myself and in this because it's something I truly believe. Because now I'm giving people a platform so they can express themselves and talk. And I just love that. I just love being able to do that.
Absolutely. I think you're on point because even if nobody listens, it was a form of therapy for myself because when I first started my podcast, I didn't get listeners, I didn't get downloads. You know what I mean? Like I was moving slow as molasses, slow as a turtle, slow as a sloth because I was pregnant for the first 2 years. So those first 2 years, I was moving really, really slow. I didn't do no marketing. I didn't even let people know that an episode dropped. I was just, okay, it's there, so it's so different when you're doing it for a different motive. You know what I mean? When your intentions are for something bigger than what you can even imagine, then your determination, your discipline, your grit is so much more has so much more passion because it's not for today, it's for tomorrow, it's for the future, it's for the years to come. And I think that's one thing that I really stood by, just like maybe nobody will listen to my episode today, but somebody will listen to it years to come or later on. And just because I was so consistent, now I get, oh my goodness, downloads almost every day, host a lot of listeners. I'm already scheduled out into the next year. I mean, I've exceeded my own expectations. I have guests that I still can't even reach out because I'm already so far out into the next year that I'm like, you know what I mean? So it's just like, it really puts things into perspective that as long as you know that this is what you want to do and you go after it despite the naysayers, because I still have people in my circle that don't believe in me or they don't understand the reason why I do what I do. But it's like, you're not supposed to understand. The people who do understand and who see the value in what you're doing and respect the discipline and the grit that goes into it, because like you said, what it goes into. This is a lot of work. And I have two young boys that are like 2 and 3 years old, and they still require a lot of time with me. And I'm budgeting, imagining, and juggling it all, and it takes time, but it also takes passion. And I think that's the thing that keeps true artists, true individuals, and separate them for the people that just go with the wave or go with the trend, is that they're doing it for the right intentions. People who just do things for the trend or for the wave, they're just doing it just to be seen in the moment, to get the likes, to get the credibility, but without actually understanding the respect that goes into the work that true individuals that actually do this and the reasons why they do this and how they do it. It's so much more different. So yeah, that's why I have a level of respect for you, because you've been doing it for years. You know the silence, you know what I mean? You know the people coming in. You understand the waves that come in and the people, and it's a different way of appreciating this art of just the podcasting world and then the self-publishing world, because you publish as well. So it really is a different type of understanding.
Oh no, it's launching the podcast has opened me up creatively in a way
Yeah.
that I was not aware or thought possible. Like I would have, if you would have told me, oh, I would have been self-publishing books and doing. No, I don't know how to do that. I don't. It doesn't interest me. But
Yeah.
it was like once I launched the podcast and started being creative with the podcast and doing like these juices just started. I'm like, oh, I want to launch this. I want to launch an internet radio station. All right, what do I need to do to what is it? The steps that are required for me to do this? Oh, that's it. All right, so I did that. Launch. One of the first things was launching my production company, because I've developed a lot of skills doing the podcast. I've learned how to edit video, edit audio, SEO, titles, subscriptions, all these things that I didn't have a clue. Like I wasn't someone in media. This
Yeah.
wasn't my lane. And so for me I had to learn just like you. I would just release episodes, then put descriptions, then put titles. None of that. It was none of that. It wasn't until like probably once I had like 20 something episodes that people were like, yo, you need thumbnails. You need put some real titles on it. You need to put a description, timestamps, all this other stuff. Because it was crazy. Because in 2019, I had looking. I had signed on to Podbean, right, and completely forgot. And then in 2020, when I went and was looking for a platform to distribute my podcast, I found out I had a Podbean account that I had started in 2019. I was like, okay, let me just launch it with them. It wasn't difficult for me to use them. I learned how to use the platform, and it actually distributed to Apple and Spotify. And once you get on those two platforms, you get on like 10 other different platforms. So once I learned all that, it was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So how did your psychology background shape the way you view human behavior? Because like you said, people said you were crazy because of the way you view things.
I think my psychology allowed me to always be in an examination mode. I'm always examining people. I'm always trying to find reason why people move, why people react, why people do certain things, and I always find a reason. You know what I mean? Because there's a reason why somebody's angry. There's a reason why somebody hates. There's a reason why there's jealousy. There's a reason why all of these emotions appear in our lives, but nobody wants to actually go down that avenue to find a reason. They just want to react. They just want to feel the feelings without understanding the feelings. And I want to have the understanding, because if I have the understanding, then I will have the appreciation for those feelings. Because a lot of the times people will feel the feelings, or they will reject the feelings. They will put push the feelings down, saying, oh, I shouldn't feel this way, I shouldn't feel this way. But now it's like, you need to feel this, you need to feel anger, because and the anger is telling you something. You need to feel all of these emotions because there's a deeper understanding that we subconsciously don't actually tap into, because we are just, so many individuals are living on the surface of life. So the psychology background just allowed me to have the appreciation, and as well as the grace, you know what I mean, to allow people to experience it without judgment. Because before in psychology, I had judgment. I judged so many people, and I realized it was wrong for me to judge, because I don't know their walk. I don't know why they move the way they do. I don't know what's really happening in someone's life. But when you give somebody the grace to mess up, you give somebody the grace to learn, you give somebody the grace to just experience life in their manner, then you allow yourself to realize that somebody is really trying to see and maneuver through life in a different way, and it's okay. And you know what I mean? And I think more people, if they viewed the world with a seeking of an understanding versus seeking of being right, because so many people want to walk through life proving they're right, like feeding their ego to say, oh, I knew this was going to happen, oh, I knew that person was this way, oh, I knew. But in reality, you don't know. Nobody knows. We don't know. I don't know. So when we have this understanding of, I don't know, but it's okay that I don't know, I'm willing to learn, that's when you gain wisdom. That's when you gain understanding. That's when you develop the grace for yourself, as well as the grace for other people to live in their life. And that's the reason why I've had certain friendships, because I like seen this one girl in college, and she was so odd to me, and I was a psychology major, and I was just like, let me befriend her, so that I can really pick her mind. Maybe I could do like a thesis on her later on in the years or whatever, right? And she was just so amazingly complex that I realized that I'm not crazy, she's crazy, but it's not a bad crazy, because there's things that made her be the way that she was. You know what I mean? So it gave me that understanding and that respect. And I think that's how I move through life, through everybody. You know what I mean? Because I don't know a lot, but I am willing to learn, and I'm always shifting my perspective. And I think a lot, I wish my people will have that understanding, so that they can dive deeper from the surface level, because the surface level will give you so much information, but when you dive deeper, it gives you this appreciation for life, for humanity, that so many other people, they do not have, and they cannot even fathom to even give somebody the understanding, because they're so stuck on the surface of their pain. You know what I mean? Their pain gives them the right to be vengeful. Their pain gives them the right to hold a grudge. Their pain gives them the right to reject people. But it's like, if we allowed ourselves to have the understanding, then we can realize we can forgive, we can let go, we can move on. And I'm not saying you have to invite that person back into your life, but at the same time, you can still evolve to a point where you know how to maneuver through people that you don't want in your circle.
And it's funny that this conversation is happening because in a situation, there's a situation going on where there's something like that happening. But anyway, no, it's because it's crazy because some people don't know when to that don't with me, I've been through a lot of stuff, and at one point I was angry at God and blamed everything. And then it wasn't until I started realizing, like, all right, things happen in life because that's life. Life just happens. Life, right? And so, but there were certain things that I was doing that was also setting me back. And it wasn't until I looked in the mirror and said, like, I need to change this. I need to seek help in this.
Yeah.
That things started changing for me. And so I've always been about now more than ever is maintaining my peace, not putting people in positions where they're interfering with my energy and draining my energy and so when you try to avoid these things, that sometimes you get a little tested and they put these objects in your way and you like you said, you have to learn how to maneuver and avoid being sucked into those type of the those places where people just they don't know how to let go of the past.
Exactly.
They just want to keep using that as their crutch, their excuse to lash out at everyone. Because how could it be that everyone else is wrong, but everyone else is telling you the same thing?
Mm,
Everyone's telling you, like, when are you gonna start realizing you played a part in whatever it is, whatever is going on in your life? Maybe
absolutely.
not everything, but when are you gonna be like, damn, what part did I play in this, and how can I correct it? Because
Exactly.
if everyone's telling me that, yo, my dude, you keep doing the same shit and fucking up in the same way, this
Yeah,
happens. And
exactly.
and some people just be like, no, it's not me, it's everyone else. And then you just when you keep continuously go through life that way, you don't learn your lessons.
Exactly, and you need to learn your lessons, and you need to have accountability, and once you have awareness, then you have accountability. The problem is that people don't have awareness. They don't realize that they can have their own toxic personality. They think everyone else is toxic, but not realizing every single soul. I even have toxic traits. You have toxic traits. As
Oh
people who are
yeah.
listening have toxic traits. Everybody has a toxic trait. It's about learning that they are toxic and adjusting and fixing and evolving because, like you said, if you're the common denominator to every single problem, then you are the problem. No matter where you live, no matter where you go, no matter what relationships comes into your life, you will always be the problem because you will always have the fear, oh, I'm going to get cheated on. Well, then let go of that fear. You know what I mean? Learn to trust, learn to love, learn to let go, learn to love yourself. You know what I mean? Learn to heal yourself. And the problem is that so many people like to pronounce, I'm hurt, I have trauma, I have pain, but without wanting to actually heal. You know what I mean? And but people applaud the people like, "Oh, you're so brave for admitting that you have trauma. You're so brave that you went through this." But where's the applause when people are actually healing? Where's the applause for people who are actually trying to change and evolve and fix themselves instead of the applauding the people that are admitting to it, but they choose to not fix it because they're enjoying the applause of just admitting that they have a problem. Like that's what irks me with this life that we're living, this generation or just this time that we're in, is that it's so backwards, it's so crazy because the people who are healing are not being valued versus the people who are just admitting that they have a problem. But those are the pity seekers, you know what I mean? They enjoy the pity parties, they have the balloons, they have the banners, they have the streamers, they have the whole pity party set up, but not realizing like that's not healing. Healing is being in the put in the same situation but reacting differently, you know what I mean? That's true healing, but people don't think about that.
No, no, they continuously want to focus on, oh, help me, or woes is me, or woes is me. Like
Mhm.
it's oh wait, oh, it's some this, or this person did this to me, or that person did that to me. And at the end of the day, you be like, okay, but when I haven't heard you say anything about what you've done. Like, am I
Yeah.
perfect? No. Like I have my flaws, and I'm
Mhm.
working on that. I'm working on myself constantly. This is growth. This is life. Like, I'm not gonna change overnight. This is programming in me for years. So, do I have work I need to do? Yes. Am I perfect? No. But I'm human.
Mhm.
but I acknowledge my flaws. I know when I mess up. I admit when I mess up. I admit when I'm wrong.
Mhm. Mhm. And that's how it works.
Because if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Like I don't have no problem apologizing to people when I know I'm wrong. Like
Exactly.
a while ago, there was a situation at work where someone said a trigger word. I went off on them, but I was wrong because I wasn't professional enough because I did it at work. Now, had we done it in the street and I whipped his out, it would have been something different. But I did it in the work environment, me being knowing better and knowing who I am. I shouldn't have let him have control over me, that kind of power over me. And so when you give people that kind of power over you and you start reacting, like, nah, I've learned that, nah, I can't do that anymore. I can't give someone that kind of power. I can't have
Exactly.
them have me jeopardize everything that I'm building and growing on because someone said a word that I didn't like.
Exactly, and half of the time people just want to play with the idea of triggering people and seeing if they react. They want people to be impulsive, they want people to be reacting fast, and it's like, you can't give people that type of pleasure because you're better than that. 2, why give them that boost of ego knowing that they have that type of power on you? It's not worth it. But at the same time, the fact that you still did it, give yourself the grace for still messing up, because at the end of the day, there's still a lesson to be learned.
Mhm.
Lesson to be learned on the other person's side and lesson to be learned on your side as well. And that just shows that you have the awareness and the accountability to know that one, you did wrong, and two, it's time to make those adjustments to change and evolve. And that's a key to healing, is to knowing that you're wrong and to knowing that you got to fix it and knowing how to move forward in a different way. And a lot of the times people will think it's like, oh, you're being condescending if you apologize right away, or just to think that you're shutting them up. But it's like, no, there's a certain degree that happens in me that causes me to react right away to in my mind. I've trained my mind to see certain things that I don't want. So when it happens, I go into this awareness of understanding, like, oh, this is not what it's supposed. We're not supposed to act like this. We're not supposed to talk like this. We're not supposed to approach people in this manner. You know what I mean? We have to have these light bulbs in our mind letting us know how to act, because if not, we're going to go with the wind. We will literally be pushed every way the wind is blowing, every way the waves are going, every way that people want us to, just even not even a hard wind. It would just be a blow from someone's mouth and we'll fall over like dominoes just because we are not standing strong. So it's like, where is your foundation? And I love the fact that you were honest enough to say that you had a perception of God, that of anger, you know what I mean, and you were upset with God, because I wish more people could admit that that is the reason why they pushed God away, is because of their own anger, instead of blaming people, instead of blaming the world. Because at the end of the day, when you admit to that unknown fact that I am have an issue with God for my own anger, for things that happen to me in my life or whatever that it may be, then you can go to God with that information, and God will reveal to you all of the things that led up to that moment, or reveal to you what's going to come from that, or how he's changing you, or how he's evolving you in such a way that it's so beautiful and it's so in awe, that you will start changing your perspective of God, that you will see him as a good God and not this evil little boy standing up in heaven looking down with some lightning bolts and ready to shoot us down for no flipping reason. You know what I mean? So I love that. I love your honesty.
And something this year that I've made it something that I've made personal, and I've mentioned it before, is that like this year I said I was going to, my relationship was with God was something that I wanted personally to improve. And I said, am I going to go to church every Sunday? No. Because do I follow organized religion? No. But it was just something that me every morning that I felt like I need to have a conversation with God, whatever it was, with meditation, saying my affirmations, saying reading my letter, whatever it is. It was just something that I personally felt that I wanted to work on, and things have happened. Doors have opened, opportunities have come because of this shift. Um, this show is not a religious show. This is more about self growth, self discovery, self love, and and spirituality. Yes. Am I a spiritual person? Yes, I am. Do I believe in a higher being? Yes, I do. But I also believe that I'm here for a purpose, and
Mhm.
I've discovered my purpose is to help others, is to lead others to to helping themselves.
Mhm.
That's what the podcast is for. That's what building the publishing company is for, is to give people their voices, to give them the opportunity to tell their stories. Because you never know what, like you said, we never know what someone else is going through in life.
Mhm.
You can never know what person A went through in life and expect person B to walk the same path.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
that person B didn't experience what person A did. They have their own personal experience in life and how they dealt with it. We all don't react to the same thing the same way.
Mhm, mhm, exactly, and we're not supposed to, you know what I mean? We're really not. We're supposed to react in a manner that makes sense to our frame of mind, and one of the things that makes me mad is that this generation is talking about, "Let's make common sense common again," and it's infuriating, that statement, because common sense will never be common, because how one grew up in life, that's gonna be common to them. How they had to survive in their world is gonna be common to them. So somebody from the East Coast is not gonna make sense to somebody in the West Coast because their survival technique was totally different. Somebody from Africa is not gonna understand how somebody in Greenland had to survive and what's common to them because it's totally different common sense. So common sense will never be common because life is very subjective. And once we get to the concept that life is subjective, then we can start appreciating humanity as it is, unique, amazing, whole, and great all in its own, without having to conform people to some society's pressures to be, appear, talk, move in a manner that is appealing, just so that I can accept you in my little bubble, my little box of understanding. You know what I mean? And that's not how it works. We need to embrace each other's differences, embrace the mystery of the unknown of others and worlds and cultures and languages and religions in different manners that doesn't allow us to judge them thinking that we are superior, because this concept of superiority is such a delusion, because there's really no way a physical form or anything like that can really say that I'm better than you, when in reality you don't know. Because if you think you're better than somebody else because of money, that money means nothing, because if you have no true happiness, then actually the poor person's better than you because they actually know happiness. You know what I mean? So it's just like the people's concepts really need to evolve and stretch their limits, because sadly people can only see as far as their hand goes out, and if they can't see past their hand, then they can't accept it in their frame of mind or in their life, because they can't see past their hands. So I wish more people can just allow themselves to be more open and question their narrative, so that they can realize where they're stuck, because so many people are stuck not realizing that they think that they're looking in a mirror, seeing all their flaws, not realizing the mirror is not a mirror. The mirror is actually a window. And if they look past their reflection, they'll see everything that's outside of the window. And once they realize they can open that window and look out, all they will see is the beauty of the world that's in front of them. And nobody likes to see that. Why? Because they like to be comfort in in their chaos. People like to be uncomfortable in their chaos because that's what's comfortable to them. I know it sounds contradicting, but life is contradicting. So many concepts is so contradicting that we have to come back to ourselves and what it really means to us. Life, it comes back to that subjectivity. And once we realize that life is subjective, then we can start appreciating other people's point of views and just questioning, like, I wonder why they think like this, or I wonder why they move in this manner. And if you are brave enough to ask that question, then allow yourself to learn as a student, not being the judge of judging them. Oh, why do you eat your potatoes that way? Or why do you eat your rice that way? Like, no. Oh, maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe they were lived in a certain area. Maybe they only have certain things accessible. You know what I mean? There's so many reasons that we fail to allow to be part of the equation, because our equation is just 1 + 1 = 2, not realizing 5 - 3 still equals 2. You know what I mean? There's so many ways to get 2, but because you're so stuck with 1 + 1 = 2, you're just like, oh, well, if it's not 1 + 1 = 2, then it's not there. It's not valuable. You know what I mean? So it's really difficult to talk to certain people sometimes, but then it's really beautiful when you're able to speak with somebody who has an open mind, who's pivoting all the time, like myself, because it comes to an understanding, realizing I'm not the problem. The world, the society, the way that we are putting these pressures, these invisible pressures on people, is the real problem in the world.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So let's talk about your podcast. It's Mitzi. Mitzi. Let's talk. Think about it. How did that come out? Like, what made you launch your podcast? Because we know my story here. What made you launch your podcast?
Well, I wrote I got the idea of my title, Mitzi, Let's Think About It, because um I remember growing up in school, I always had a hard time with because I have like dyslexia and things were just difficult for me, you know what I mean, with reading and everything. And when I read something, I have to like read it multiple times for me to grasp the concept. So I remember always hearing my teacher say, Mitzi, let's think about this for a second. You know what I mean? Let's think about it. And so I just like kind of like took it in and was just like, why not that be my podcast title of just let's think about it? You know what I mean? Why not just think about it? Why? I mean, I'm not pressuring you to believe something. I'm not forcing you to think this way. I'm not forcing you to gravitate to these ideas or this or whatever that's being spoken on the episode, but it's just about allowing you to think. And thinking's free. You know what I mean? We can think without even realizing that we're thinking. And some people don't think. Some people are just like a blank slate in their mind. And man, God bless those individuals for not having these running wheel, this mouse wheel in their mind like I do. But it's like the fact of giving people the opportunity to think about it in a whole new way. And I first started my podcast with just focusing on emotions, taboos, and just those two things because I felt like emotions was something very difficult to really understand for a lot of people, and I also felt like taboos was everything is almost a taboo nowadays that it's kind of hard not to step into a taboo depending on who's looking at the situation. You know what I mean? If you get pregnant, oh, it's a taboo. Oh, but if you don't get pregnant, oh, it's another taboo. You know what I mean? It's all these other things. I mean, that's just an example, but I realized if we started to break down these concepts that people are so stuck on, then maybe, just maybe, the world can start shifting the way that they think about whatever that the topic that I was holding in such a different way that they can grow, they can evolve, they can become something that they never even thought of. And I know change is real because I've changed. You know what I mean? Like the woman that I was in my high school days and my early 20s to my late 20s, I mean, it was another woman that I am grateful that I've experienced. And I'm also even more grateful that I've evolved and I'm no longer that woman. And I know that there's people in my past that only see me in that frame of mind. And that's okay because I understand now that people will choose a certain way to look at you or this way to perceive you in their mind, but it's not my responsibility to live up to that standard. I'm not responsible to live up to however people perceive me from my past or perceive me from my new walkway of life, but I do know that I am capable of change. I can change my way of thinking, I could change the way I talk, I could change the way I perceive the world. And if I can change, then so can my sons, so can anybody on the street, so can anybody in this world. So I know that change is possible. And the concept of that old dogs can't learn new tricks, that's a lie because old dogs I have met, my husband's 14 years older than me, and I have been changing the way that he sees life because he's such a machismo. Oh my goodness, he has this way of being this I'm a man, I'm Mexican, I have to be rah, rah, rah. Like I'm slowly breaking his shell, but it's not about breaking his shell. It's about letting him realize that you don't have to live to a standard. You don't have to be some type of guy that people portray you to be. You can be the man that you want to be. You can be whatever that you think is right. If you love comic books, then dive into comic books, explore that avenue. You know what I mean? If my husband loves comic books, so it's
Look, if tell your husband,
I,
I'm
I,
49 years old, right? And that's Iron Man in the back, right?
oh
Because
my goodness.
it's refreshing now to be able to really just be me.
Yes.
Like
Give yourself permission to be you.
yes, I've shared my story. I've gone through what the the struggles and the hardships I've gone through life, and and I've allowed myself to be vulnerable and show that side of me.
Yeah.
Like and I understand where your husband comes from because, like I said, I'm 49 years old. I'm from a generation where men don't cry.
Yeah.
We were taught you don't cry as a man, and
Mm.
it took me going to therapy and dealing with this and acknowledging like you have to allow yourself. vulnerability. You have to allow yourself to show that you're human. Like, we can't keep all this inside of us.
No, you can't. My
It ends up eating us inside.
Exactly. It really does. And, like, my husband's 46, and it wasn't until he was, like, almost 42 where he realized, like, I don't have to be this person. And it's like I tell him all the time, like, I don't know what's going on in your mind. I don't know what pressure you're feeling, but I do know that you have a lot. And I do know that you don't really have to hold all of that on your own. And it's okay for you to be vulnerable. It's okay for you to let go. It's okay for you to evolve. And now he allows himself to be vulnerable. He allows himself to get closer to God. He allows himself to be honest. And I know sometimes he's stuck in his ways, and hey, I still love him because he's still a good man. He's still a good father to our sons. But at the same time, I know that there's still a lot of that society concept that he still has to break. And I give him the grace to learn through it. I give him the grace to still grow. And I think that's where a lot of the times people need to not match energies, because it's not about matching energies. Because if you are always constantly trying to match someone's energy, you're always either going to be pulled or you're always going to be drained, depending on who it is. But when you give somebody the grace to learn, the grace to evolve, the grace, or even for yourself, the grace to learn, then it's not about matching energies. It's about just moving in a manner that's right for you. You know what I mean? Because we're all in different levels in this life. And
Mhm.
I think that's why my podcast is growing the way it is and evolving globally the way it is, because people all around the world are realizing that we don't have to be the same. You know what I mean? We can be whoever we want to be at whatever age. You know what I mean? We are changing the way the status quo may seem. And my husband's basement is full of like comic books and action figures and all of his DC, because he's a DC guy. He's not a Marvel guy. He's a DC guy.
I won't hold that against
So
them. I won't tell them. I won't hold that against them.
yeah, he is all DC. He loves his Batman. He loves his Dark Knight. He loves all of that. Like, he is so proud showing me his new comics and comics and showing me all these things. But it's like I love seeing that little boy in him come out, because I know that I created a safe place for
Yeah,
him.
we should never give that side of us up. Like, that's something we
Exactly.
should always embrace, is that child side of us.
Yeah.
Enjoy the stuff that we enjoy. Like, my co-host on Cognitive Cuisine, Yayoi, she's 60 years old. I'm sorry, Yayoi, I don't mean to be blowing you up like that. She says it herself, but or 50, whatever. But anyway, she's older than
Mhm.
me. But she just went to Comic-Con for the 4 days in New York City, right?
Nice.
She loves uh K-pop demon
Oh, okay.
whatever. She, but she's like I said, she's older than me, and I told her, go enjoy that, embrace it. When you're there, create content, do everything over there, because it's important for us to embrace this side of us. It's important to us to show, hey, look, I'm a regular person. I love doing regular stuff. I love going to basketball games. I love going to football games. I love going to events out to eat with my family. These are things. I'm a regular person, so yeah, I enjoy Comic Con. I enjoy comic books. I enjoy what I enjoy. That's me.
Yeah, exactly. You have the right to enjoy it.
Mhm.
And that's what I wish more people can be. Like, maybe it's not comic books. Maybe it's drawing.
What
Maybe, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, I mean, just lean into it. Allow yourself to just dive into it and not to be afraid of what can come out of it. Because if you give yourself permission to finally do it and not allow the old child self of your 8-year-old self of your parents telling you, we don't got the money, we don't got the time, you need to grow up, you need to do this, you need to, and when you're all an adult, you still have that frame of thinking in your mind playing in your head, feeling that pressure, but that pressure is not real because it's no longer there. You're living in an old way, an old system in a new season. You know what I mean? We can't live in a survival mindset in one season when we're no longer in that season. We have to let that go. We have to evolve. We have to give ourselves permission to be in our present moment and be whatever age that we are, because then we don't mature. You know what I mean? And that's the reason why you can meet somebody who's 52 years old and still acts like he's 28 or 14 or 16, and you wonder why is he still in the club? You know what I mean? Why is this 60-year-old still in the club? Well, maybe there's so many reasons. There's
They
so
might
many reasons.
enjoy the music. They might go. Listen, you can't knock what makes someone else happy. And if going out and feeling free and dressing however, let them be. Let them be. Like,
Right?
I don't knock
Right.
anyone. If you want to live your life, fine. I get that. It's when you start trying to dictate how other people live
Mhm.
their lives, that's where I have a problem, right?
Absolutely.
I don't want no one to come tell me what I need to, who I need to like, who no, I like I'll generate my opinions on my experience with things. Not
Exactly.
because you told me that, "Oh, I don't like this, so you shouldn't like this." No, maybe I do like it. I'm like, let me make my judgment. Let me decide what is good for me and what is not, because I'm not going to decide what's good for you. That's your choice. Your choices in life are your choices. I might not
Exactly.
agree with them, but that's my opinion.
Mhm, mhm. I agree. I think more people need to move in that manner and stop trying to put the pressure on other people to do things just because it makes your soul happy. We're not here to accommodate to the masses. I'm not here to please people to make them sleep better at night. No, because at the end of the day, life is a double-edged sword. And if I'm going to stab myself or I'm going to stab you, I'd rather stab you than stab myself because I got to live with the wounds. I got to feel that. I gotta experience that day in and day out. So it's just like we might as well do what makes us happy because when death comes, death is gonna come for us all either way, right? And then when you die, don't you want to know that you died happy, knowing that you bought that
Yeah,
comic book,
yeah.
knowing that you did go out and finally go to that amusement park, or finally go to that club, or finally go to that restaurant that you've been dying to go to, or finally go to travel wherever that you wanted to go to, or finally ask that person and spill your heart out to that individual, not knowing if they feel the same or not. But at least you finally have that peace of mind that it's out there in the world, out there in the universe, out there so that they can make the decision for themselves if they want to receive you or not. But so many people live in fear. You know what I mean? And fear of being judged, fear of not being accepted, fear of not be feeling belong. But once you have that self-awareness, once you have that self-accountability, once you honor yourself, then it doesn't matter what people say about you or not. It matters what you feel. It matters how you see yourself. And so many people don't understand that, but we also don't educate other people to even have that understanding. So that's the reason why I have my podcast, to give people permission to change the way they think, change the way they move, change the way they talk, change the way everything about them, so that they can live a more authentic life to themselves and feel happy about themselves. Go to sleep every night knowing that they did it. You know what I mean? Even if it's something so simple as walking 5 minutes because they haven't walked in such a long time, besides walking to their car and back. You know what I mean? Something so simple in that aspect you can do and feel so good about, but people don't even allow others to have small milestones because it has to be big, it has to be grand, it has to be extravagant. But those small milestones make up for the big moments. They get you there, and people just need to continue to allow themselves to evolve, you
How,
know?
how can you appreciate the big milestones if you can't accept the small ones? If you can't appreciate the small ones, if you can't,
Exactly.
and that's something I've had to learn is celebrate the small victories. This is
Mhm.
something that you need to really celebrate. This is something that you should acknowledge. Like when I like now I've acknowledged whatever accomplishments I do with my podcast, because those whatever it is, it's important. Like I went from having, not it being difficult to get, you get 1, 2 downloads a month, right? To even when I was trying to get guests, it was like, what's your numbers like? Like I'm just starting out, my man. I'm like, I'm just new to this. This is me growing.
Mhm.
Where now I am receiving emails daily.
Mhm.
Well, hey, I got a perfect guest for your podcast. I heard this episode. I heard that. And to go from no one wanting to be on the show to now, like you, I'm booked into next year, where February is my February calendar is filling up quickly.
Nice.
And I do 3 shows a week. So you can imagine how, like, so yeah, do I get cancellations? Yes. So that's why I do pre-recorded shows so I can plug them right in when I get a cancellation.
Yeah.
It's a system that I've been able to build from me taking that leap and diving into it, going from not knowing anything in this business to considering myself an authority in what I'm doing, and
Exactly.
wanting to and launching a program to show other, thought leaders, entrepreneurs, coaches who have a voice but don't know how to launch it. Well, I'm launching a course to show you how to do that, as well as in there is going to be included on how to self-publish your own books. This is something that I'm building because this is something I've learned and experienced, and I want other people to make it easier for them. Here's this course. This is an opportunity for you to learn and build something that you
Absolutely.
might have thought that it's not easy, but I'm trying to make the process and the steps for you so that you don't have to go through the struggle and the things that I've had to learn in these 5-6 years now on building my podcast and building my brand and building the platform and taking it to another level now.
Exactly. Because it's different when you have somebody in the same industry teaching you and evolving you and helping you and adjusting you. Like if your father's a chef and then you want to become a chef, at least you have a
Yep.
somebody in your family who already knows and they're going to give you all the cheat sheets to how to deal with it. But somebody like you and me who has nobody around us in our circle who is doing podcasting, who's doing radio, who's doing editing, who's doing publishing, who's doing books or anything like that. It's like we have to learn along the way. And one thing that I told somebody, because they asked me one time, like, how do you see yourself in your walk of your podcasting? And I was just like, honestly, I see myself like I'm in tall grass, not able to see anything, but I'm just cutting, making my own path. And whoever follows behind me, at least they have a clear path and they'll be able to walk clear and they don't have to worry about the mess in front of them because I got it. You know what I mean? And that's how I see it. And I'm okay with it because I one of my prayers is all the time is I let me go through the hardships, let me fight these demons, let me fight these battles so that when my sons have to come across this age, they can fight different demons, they can fight different battles and they don't have to deal with the same things that I had to deal with. You know what I mean? And that's how we break generational curses as well. When we decide in our mind that we're going to do it despite not knowing what's going to come from it. You know what I mean? Because I that's why I have the respect for you and that's why I have the understanding and the love for you because people don't realize how hard it is to talk yourself into keep going when nobody's there applauding you. You know what I mean? When so many people are there just to for the applause, just for the likes, just for the celebration, but not realizing like, are you gonna keep going when there's no celebration? Are you gonna keep going when nobody's talking to you? You know what I mean? Because I remember having only one listener to now having over 300 listeners. You know what I mean? Or having over downloads that are just like I every time I look, I'm just grateful because it gives you this type of appreciation that this is not for nothing. You know what I mean? There's real people who are really listening, who are really receiving, who are really understanding, who want to actually evolve. So the fact that you're gonna make that course, I applaud you. I applaud you 100% because I'm also thinking about, oh, should I dabble into courses? Should I dabble into coaching? And it's just like I'm still on the fence, but
Why?
seeing you do it
Why?
is like
Why? Actually, why you're still on the fence?
um the reason why I'm on the fence is that do people really value what I have to say or not?
Yes,
You know
yes.
what I mean?
They do
That's
value,
the thing.
and just from me speaking to you, these two conversations that we've had and the interaction we have through message, whatever. Yes, people do have it. You have something people need to hear. Like what you're doing and what you're accomplishing is very important. Like you're doing something as a mom. You're producing a podcast yourself. You're publishing. You got 4 children's book. 4,
Yeah.
right? And it wasn't easy. It was you had to learn the process and do other stuff. Okay, how many women of like you of your color and your are 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 struggling, right, through life and stuff because they don't have a role model like you. They don't have an inspiration, but now they do. They have someone like you. They see someone like, oh man, she's like me.
Yeah, that's
I'm
true.
a mom. I'm struggling with look what she's doing. You're not
Mhm.
a celebrity. You're a mom. You're a
Mhm.
woman who's building something, a legacy for her kids. So yeah, go. I guess go into coaching because you have something to share. You have build a course.
I know my mom said the same thing. She's like, "Mitzi, I'm your number one student. You be teaching me more than what I even thought." And I was just like, "You know what? That's not a bad thing."
No, it's a wonderful thing to be able to have people tell you you should. I've people like, yo, you need to do courses. You're doing some amazing, you're doing some crazy stuff. You've launched X, Y, and Z without having the prior knowledge of this. I'm building a media empire without not knowing how to build a media empire.
Yeah, that's true. It's very true. Yeah. Well, thank you. I know and then that I think that was the final testament because my mom, that's my mom. She may or may not always support me, but she has been supporting me because I have been helping her evolve. I have been helping her change her way of thinking because um she's stuck in that old way of thinking, you know what I mean, having to be a certain way, having to do things a certain way. And I'm constantly questioning her narrative, questioning her thinking, making her be like, but what if it wasn't like that? What if it was like this?
Yeah,
What if, you know what I mean? And I'm always helping her see, like, it's like, okay, your head's here, shift it. You know what I mean? I'm literally like, move it. And then it's like, and then she's like a whole new thing. And that's what I want to do. You know what I mean? I want to help people just think differently so
do it.
that they can change, they can evolve. I believe everybody can change.
Do it. Like, but there's no question about why. Like, you should do it. It's important. Like I told you, um, they only think people like us should be entertainers.
Hmm.
No, we're thought leaders. We're coaches. We're more than just entertainment. We're here to help lead others, regardless. That's our goal. That's our mission in life. That's our purpose. Is we've learned like, hey, we've have something that we can help lead others to.
Yeah.
So why stop at because of fear? Because you have doubts because you think. And the same thing with launching my podcast. I had the doubts like, who's going to want to listen to me? I'm not a celebrity. I don't have these alphabets behind my name. I don't have a PhD. I don't any of this shit. I mean,
Yeah.
none of this,
Yeah.
right? But
Mhm.
I have a story to share. And people have stories to share. So yes, I have life experience. I've been through, like I said, I went through my struggles. I've experienced grief. I've lost many people and struggled with my beliefs and struggle with like, God, why are you punishing me? Am I such an evil person? Why is all this happening to me? And I had to come to that realization that you're not being punished. It's like
Mhm.
this happens. It's now how are you going to react? How are you going to lift yourself up? This is what he wants to see from me. Like, yes,
Exactly.
I put this in your path, yes. But how are you going to how are you going to react? Are you going to lay down and die?
Mhm. Exactly.
Pick yourself up and keep going and build a path for others to see that, listen, you can go through all this loss and go through all these struggles and and be self-destructive and turn your life around
Yeah.
and build something and like you said, yeah, you feel like you're in a high, tall shit thing of grass, but you're chopping it down for others.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
we got to continue to do what we're doing. We got to continue to launching the programs and launching and publishing the books and and going into coaching and speaking because we have something to share.
Yeah.
I'm
Exactly.
realizing this more and more. Like even right now with this conversation, I'm like, damn, I'm doing fucking good.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, applaud, applaud because we're doing it.
Is that me just saying all this stuff? It takes you, but it says you have to start realizing like, no, I have this potential. Like I can do this. I can do the public speaking. I can do the coaching. It's now me going to do it.
Yeah.
Me showing that I can do it. And
Yeah.
I've shown enough on my podcast that I know I can do this. But it
Absolutely.
again, we're human.
Yeah.
We have that little
Mhm.
angel and devils on our shoulders. The devil's telling
Mhm.
you can't do it. No, no, who's gonna you don't you don't you're not a celebrity. You don't have this. You don't have the credentials. Like, but I do have the credentials. I've built
Mhm.
something out here for the last 5 years. I've published books. I've
Mhm.
done things that regular folks don't do.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you? I ain't regular folk.
Mm-mm. Yeah, because for other people, they'll be paralyzed. I mean, I know this for a fact because I've talking to other people and they'll be like, I can't do what you do, Mitzi. I can't even think about doing what you're doing. I don't even know how you do what you do. And in reality, it's like it came to the conclusion that I have to. You know what I mean? I have to do it. I have to do it because somebody that is so young is looking out for somebody that they can relate to. And if I had actual role models growing up, then maybe I would have been a different woman. But I had people that I didn't want to be like. You know what I mean? I had people in my life that I realized I want nothing to be like them. I don't even want a glimpse of them. And I realized that just because my DNA may be the same as their DNA doesn't make me that as my default setting. Like I don't have to represent that. I don't have to act that way. I don't have to look that way. I don't have to be whatever that the DNA says, or whatever that my situation, my environment, my society, my wherever that I'm living mold me to be whatever that they need me to be. I can be whatever that I need to be. And then that's when I realized that. And when I was starting to dedicate myself to God, and like you said, this is not about religion, but this is just the reality of how I feel, is that once I accepted that I'm made in God's image and he's the one that's molding me, he's the one that's taking away the things that are not supposed to be in me, that the things that the world put in me, I realized that I needed to go through it because God will discipline the ones he loves. And if God is disciplining me, then I know that I am loved. I just have to reposition my way of mind to see it in that manner so that I can be like, discipline me, Lord. Discipline me so that I can change, so that I can evolve, so that I can be the woman that you created me to be, not the woman that the world wants me to be. Because I'd rather give up the world and everything that comes from it than to lose him. And once I get made that as my dedication, and anytime I feel the pressure from society or from anybody who's implementing those pressures on me, I go back to God and be like, nope, that's not going to be me. I'm not going to allow that to sit in my heart. I'm not going to allow that to be my narrative, because I'm going to go back to how you initially created me to be. And I think that's what makes me and that's what makes you stand out, because once we reposition our faith and reposition our heart, then it helped us realize that it's not about a selfish gain. It's about servicing. We are being of service to the world. We're helping other people, other men, other women in this world realize that, oh, they kind of look like me. Oh, they kind of talk like me. Oh, they kind of, you know what I mean? They've been homeless. They've been without electricity. They've been the struggles. They know the struggles. They know what hunger feels like. You know what I mean? Like I know that. I know what it's like to be hungry. I know what it's like to live in my car. I know what it likes to live in a shelter. I know what it's like to not have no electricity. I know what it's like to only have $35 in your bank and you're trying to figure out, oh, if you can buy food or put gas in the car. Like I know the realness of that so many people act like they can't even be relatable to the poor. They can't be relatable to the struggle, but the struggle's real. The struggle's out there. There's more people struggling than there are people succeeding and having this, oh, I'm a millionaire. You know what I mean? That 1%er is really 1% of the world. So it's just like our goal is not to be that 1%. Our goal is to remind the people who are in the bottom, the mass majority, that you can be something better. You can grow from it. You can evolve from it. And it's like a phoenix. You can become something out of the fire. So I truly I love this conversation. I'm really loving it.
Listen, listen, me and you created, we are creating magic with these
Yeah.
conversations that we're having. Because even like just having this conversation with you, right, is making me realize, like, yo, I need to stop talking about it, right, and stop doing it. Like, I need to follow my own advice and start getting into the coaching and start creating the program. Stop talking about it and let's start doing about it. Let's start,
Yeah.
like, and it was something that even a couple of weeks ago I went to this coffee and conversations with entrepreneurs, and there was a bunch of different businesses, and I spoke to a PR person, and she's like, stop talking about building the program. Like, she's like, why don't you just go launch it, build it as you go? Like, put a
Yeah.
beta out there, put a beta out there, like put put it out like, hey, I'm looking for 6 thought leaders, entrepreneurs, coaches who want to launch their podcast. Like, this the conversation that I'm having with this person, and everything they said made sense. But now it's time for me to stop talking about it
Mhm.
and tell you to go into coaching and stop bullshit and take the step myself. Like
Yeah,
I can't be telling you to do it and me not do it.
I
So
know, right?
I'm gonna actually work on it after our conversation, and
But isn't that beautiful though? That when we have these conversations with people, you don't realize that you think that you're educating them or you're giving your opinion to them, not realizing that you're actually
talking
listening
to
to the words that are
myself.
exactly, and you're talking to yourself, you're advising yourself, you're healing yourself, and people don't realize like that's the beauty of conversations, that's the beauty of community, that's the beauty of networking.
Everything I said to you, I needed someone to say to me. But
Mhm.
hearing me say it to you, I'm like, dude, I hope you're gonna follow your piece of advice. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in my mind, I'm thinking, my man, I hope you're gonna listen to your own piece of advice that you're giving right now, because it's kind of fire. So you need to really start doing what you're saying. Stop talking. It is, but it's good to be able to take. Listen, at least I'm acknowledging, like, yeah, I need to stop talking this stuff and just and do it. So that's the wonderful thing about these conversations. This is the great thing about being able to network and build these relationships and have someone like you where you bring this out of me. Like having this conversation has fired me up, like with everything. I'm like, damn, shit, like let me start doing what I gotta start cooking and doing what I gotta start doing, because talking to you is just like made me realize, like, damn, I'm doing stuff, but there could be more done.
Yeah, exactly. Like we don't realize like there's a whole ocean and we're just still on the beach with our feet barely ankle
Touch,
deep
touch in the
and
water, right? Like, oh,
exactly, testing the water, not realizing we're just on the shoreline just walking and we gotta go deeper. We have to put our whole body in it
yeah,
and allow ourselves to flow. And that's one of the concepts that I tell myself is that when I'm realizing that I'm doing it now for myself, I'm realizing that God's in control. And I'm like, let me flow on this water and I'm allow you to take me wherever you need me to go. And it's when I allow fear to come in that I start treading and I start moving and I start adjusting, thinking that it's all on my own and realizing it's not on my own. It's not my own doing because God brings me and God brings me these people that I don't even know that are from all across the world. And it's like, I would have no other way of doing it or experiencing these conversations unless I knew that somebody else had a higher power or somebody else's hand was in the whole situation in the long run. So yeah, we both need to get on our shit and you know what I mean, get it done because there's people out there that need our story, that need our advice, that need that encouragement to know that you're doing it. Just keep going. Don't stop because the devil's voice is getting louder. The naysayers are getting louder. The judgment's getting louder. The pressure is real. Not realizing like we're not a solid. We're fluid. You know what I mean? So when the walls crush in, we think that we're gonna get crushed, not realizing that we're fluid. So we can adjust ourselves and go up, and not realizing that if we continue to go up, we will when the walls keep closing in, it won't actually squish us because we're moving with the pressure and we'll get out of it. You know what I mean? That's how I see it.
no, but you realize, right? Because something that's come to is like when you're doing things in alignment, right?
Yeah.
Obstacles keep getting put in your way, right?
Yeah.
Because you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. So you're always going to be challenged
Yeah.
when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. So when you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, it
Mhm. You're not
it's
gonna get challenged. You're not
no,
gonna get you're
it's,
not gonna get this resistant.
no. But once you start making that shift towards changing and aligning yourself and finding your purpose and discovering what it is that you want, because I feel everyone has a purpose in this life. It's just a
Absolutely.
lot of us right now are just walking without that purpose, not knowing
Mhm.
what it is. And for us, we've been able to discover that service is where we're needed. Like
Mhm.
serving others is where we're needed. Doing what we're doing is what people need to see us do, right? They need
Absolutely.
to see that. Look at these two people from this walk of life doing what they're doing, launching two successful podcasts, doing, being self-published, and doing, like, they need to see this, right? Because it's important to realize that two people, like, some people out there, people that look like us, seeing us and are like, damn, look at what they're doing. Like, why can't I do that?
Exactly, exactly. And I think that's what makes our conversation so powerful because it makes us very much relatable and it makes us feel seen and heard. And even if it's just one soul that I'm affecting, that one soul can affect so many others around them. So it's just like for me, I never say I'm doing it for the grand masses. I never say I'm doing it for a celebrity status or anything like that. I'm doing it to save one soul. I'm doing it to help one single individual in this world because when that's my agenda, then the pressure's off. There's no criticism. There's no judgment. And if there is criticism and if there is judgment, then that's personal. You realize that the hate that people project out is not the hate, it's not really it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with whoever is projecting that hate out internally if something's going on within them. You know what I mean? But a lot of the times people don't want to deal with that. So then they'll push it on you like, "Oh, well, you made me do this," or "Oh, you made me feel this type of way. I'm offended." Like offended is a choice. You don't have to be offended. The point of life is to become unoffendable. You know what I mean? It's to not allow people to pressure you to react in a certain way. So it's just like we have to continue going because at the end of the day we have to keep moving forward. And I love how you say that when you're finally doing what you need to do, you're going to feel that resistance because life is not easy. And I hate it. I One of the concepts that I hated the most from Kourtney Kardashian, she said, is that if you're doing something that you love, it shouldn't be hard. Ugh. I hate that concept because if you're doing something that you love, it is going to be hard because you're putting your heart into it.
Yeah.
And it like if people is trying to be a doctor, do you think that medical school is easy? Do you think that medical exam is easy? No, it's hard.
Mhm.
But when they come out on the other side, they're doctors, they're intelligent, they're wiser, they're better for it, and they're in service.
They're
And I
still
also
learning though. They're still learning because
yeah,
medicine is always evolving, right? So they're still
exactly.
growing, right? So of course, if they're growing and because medicine is evolving, you should want to grow and evolve as a human being yourself. Like
Mhm.
you should want to change. Like if things aren't going right in your life, like don't just have to lay there and take it. Make
Yeah.
make the proper take the proper steps to help change this. Like to make
Exactly.
yourself better. Right? Like it took me going through whatever I had to go through, right? I don't wish what I went through on anyone. I don't wish anyone to walk my path because that was my path. That was meant for me.
Mhm.
But it's through like everything that's happened in life has happened for a reason. It's made me who I am today. To go through all the loss and all the struggles and then it's made me who I am today, and it's helping me grow and evolve because it just I take those lessons and I just keep growing and I grow and I keep pushing and going forward and wanting to make sure that I am living because even this past week I was reading a friend's post. He was talking about his wife was somewhere in Philly and he sent her to look for a band that they're friends with and I enjoyed it and then yesterday I found out he passed away yesterday.
Oof.
And I just read his message. I just read his Facebook post the other day, and he was talking, and it was cool. And I was blessed to be able to share the virtual stage with him quite a few times on through networking events and stuff that we did. And it was just to show. It just was like you're here one day, and then you're gone the next. Like we need to we and I sent out messages to my friend like, yeah, we need to really get this going.
Oh, absolutely. I value that. I'm so glad that you talked about death because my father-in-law, l- on Sunday I spoke to him, FaceTime him. We had a great conversation like usual with the kids and everything like nothing. Monday morning I get a call from my mother-in-law saying that he'd passed away in his sleep. He was healthy. He had such a cognitive memory. He was so smart. He was so aware. I thought he was still having years to come. And death just came swifting by in the night like nothing. And death can come for any of us. Doesn't matter if you're old, young, blue, green, whatever you want to claim yourself to be. It doesn't matter. Death will come for us all at an unexpected time. So we have to take advantage of the moments. We have to tell people that we love them. We have to tell people that we value them. We have to acknowledge other people's presence and let them know that they hold value in our lives because if we don't, we will miss that opportunity. And once they die, that's it. You know what I mean? You may not get the opportunity again to speak to them, to hold that space of that peace. And that's why I told my brother, I was like, do you have peace if dad were to die? You know what I mean? If dad were to die just tomorrow because of whatever reason, would you really have peace? Because I do. I tell him all the time that I love him. And even though he did what he did when we were younger, it doesn't necessarily remove the fact that I still love him as a father. You know what I mean? And
Right.
it's just like some people don't have that understanding. It's just like somebody can hurt you, but if you give yourself the understanding of why they moved in life and your time frame that you needed them the most, it doesn't exclude them, but it also gives you an understanding to appreciate them. Because if you don't appreciate what they were going through at that time frame, well, you are going to be bound to make those same mistakes with your children, thinking that, oh, this is how I have to move, not realizing you don't have to move because that's how they thought they had to move too. Because so many parents think, oh, I have to provide, but then they miss actually being there with their children. And it's like the once the children grow up, they don't want nothing to do with their parents because you weren't there when they were younger. So it's just like it's an endless cycle that never stops until you decide to give somebody that appreciation, that value, and that understanding, that grace that I was speaking about earlier, that people don't even give. So yeah, and we really do need to value other people.
Absolutely. It's something that's lacking. It's something that we just need to appreciate everything that's going on. And man, we've been talking for over an hour. This has been wonderful. It's time we've come to the part of the show where you're gonna get the solo screen and you're gonna get to plug away, let everybody know where they can find the podcast, the book, website, everything.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, my name is Mitzi, 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 ladies and gentlemen. I know why. I just got to emphasize that there's no S's either. People will think it's Missy. No, it's Mitzi, Mitzi. And so just go to my website, mitzythinking.com. You'll find my blogs, you'll find my podcast, you find all of my amazing special guests on there, including Will, and all of these other individuals that have helped me, shaped me, molded me in a way that made me realize that change is possible, to evolve is possible, as well as you can find my children's books to help the children in your life, to let them know that they can think, they can wonder, they can experiment, they can make a difference in the world that they are in. You know what I mean? There's only one life, one world that we are in, and we should really take advantage of that and let the youngsters know that we are here, we see you, and we are here to help you and mold you in any way. And that's my goal is with my children's books, is to do exactly that. So you can find my children's books on my website, or you can go on Amazon, they're there as well. I have Mr. Waters, Miss Little Puddles. Those are two books that are talking about recycling and water. I apologize. My brain just had like a fog. And then I have my third book, My Dog Loves Eggs. It's just a silly book about a dog that loves eggs and does all these funny, quirky things just to get his eggs each day. And it allows kids to be silly. Like, what does your pet like to do? What is his favorite snack? Does he like peanut butter? What does he do when he wants it? You know what I mean? Things to just get creative, as well as my last one that just came out, Job Fair for Angels, where if you think about it, you're never really alone. So many people have lost so many people in their lives, and this is a great way to realize that your loved ones who are no longer with us in our physical world are still with us in the spiritual world, protecting us, guiding us, cheering us on, and receiving our prayers, so that they're not hurt, that you're not alone. So check it out, and also just always keep thinking, y'all.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for being a guest. I appreciate your time. This has been one of those episodes where you just lose track of time and things just happen. But we definitely got to collaborate again. We're definitely going to collaborate more. I think this is something that people need to see more of, because we just have this chemistry that I enjoy. These conversations are just awesome. But thank you so much for being a guest. I appreciate your time. But don't leave just yet. Let me close out the show, and we'll chat a little bit off the air. But thank you so much for being such a wonderful guest. I appreciate your time.
No, thank you for being a great host. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, everybody. Another great episode. If Mitzi's message spoke to you, go follow her podcast, Mitzi. Let's think about it. and check out her children's book, because changing how we think starts at every age. Share this episode with someone who needs a reminder that healing starts with awareness. Stay mindful, stay intentional, stay wise, stay wise. You know how your boy does it. Peace out.